Welcome to another edition of Perfect Game College Baseball. I'm Brent Dolan. Can't wait for you to hear our show this week. We're going to go to the Division II ranks, the national champions from D2, the North Greenville Crusaders. Coached by Landon Powell. You might remember that name, the former Oakland A. In fact, he caught Dallas Braden's perfect game. Also was a College World Series star with South Carolina, but quickly after his pro career ended, jumped into the coaching ranks, took over a program that needed a rebuild or a build, and he got them to the point where in recent years they were competing for a national championship. This year they won it. One of the reasons why was John Michael Faile. He'll join us as well. In fact, Coach and John Michael will join us for a segment together in the middle. What a career he had. In fact, even a year ago in 2021, 23 homers, 78 RBIs. We know the draft has been jacked up and didn't get that opportunity that probably would have in previous years. Comes back for another year, but in the conference tournament, thinks he has a career-ending injury. Isn't sure if he's ever going to be able to play again, certainly not this year. So he's hoping his teammates in the regional and the super regional will give him a chance to keep winning games so he can come back and compete for a national championship. Not only does he, first game back, 19 days later, first at bat, hits a home run. And that's part of the story we'll hear from John Michael Faile. And what an incredible year it was for the North Greenville Crusaders, the Division II National Championships. And what a great run it was indeed. So we'll step aside and come back with head coach Landon Powell from North Greenville right here on Perfect Game College Baseball. Perfect Game College Baseball is going to talk about the Division II national champs, the North Greenville Crusaders. I'm Brent Dolan, happy to be joined by Landon Powell, first and foremost, the head coach. You might remember him from his time with the Oakland A's back from 2009 to 2011. He obviously caught Dallas Braden's perfect game. That's a pretty good thing for the Wikipedia page, but also had an incredible career at South Carolina, the College World Series on multiple occasions, but now a coach of a national champion. And coaches, we welcome you in. I know you segued quickly from your playing career to coaching, and the program you have now was not the one you took over. I mean, there has been a building process. How gratifying it is now to be a national champion.
It's awesome. It's been a fun 7.5 years. The program we took over here was really struggling at the time. They were 8-38, I believe, the year before we got here. Our facility was a below average high school facility, had no bleachers or concession stands or bathrooms. We had one batting cage that flooded really bad and had mud all in it. And it's fun to kind of sit back and think about what it was then and what it is now. And to go out and win a national championship this year, it's just rewarding. You know, we put a lot of time and effort into this program, and our players have dedicated themselves, and it was a great reward for all the time and effort we spent.
There's no doubt about it. And I want to talk about some of those games and some of the players. But I think first and foremost, you are a tremendous advocate for D2 baseball. And we touch on all levels, from Division I to NAIA, Division III. And Division II is our week. But again, you talk about how high-end this caliber of play is. And I think that's good for our listeners to hear, because we might say, well, you're not playing a D1, you're not a good program. That's not the case. I mean, you have good players, and it's tremendous competition at that level.
Yeah, and it's something that surprised me, honestly. I played at the Division I level at the University of South Carolina. Was fortunate to be in the SEC. And then I went on and played professionally and played in the big league. So I would say my vision of baseball was pretty high. I got the job here at North Greenville and came into this level and started coaching, and I was really blown away with how talented the players are at this level. I would say in baseball, there's way more parity in baseball at the college level than there are in maybe football and basketball and other sports. The separation between Division II football and Division II basketball is pretty wide gap. In baseball, not so much. I think that it's a lot less gap in the game of baseball at Division II level. So, I am an advocate for Division II baseball because I've seen how many good players are at this level. I've seen how many guys at this level can succeed and go on and play professionally and have success at that level. So, it's a fun game. It's a good brand of baseball. and I've really enjoyed coaching it.
Well, it's a good explanation, and you do indeed send quite a few players off to the pro ranks as well. The tournament was in Cary, North Carolina. You took down Westchester U a couple of times. You defeated Point Loma, the Sea Lions, 5-3 to win the national championship. Even had an 18-3 win over Angelo State. It was a team that came in leading all of Division II in runs scored, and you hang 18 on them and only give up 3. So give me an idea what the Cary experience was like, because every time you get into one of those tournaments, I know it's a battle of attrition. Depth is a factor, and obviously you need talented players to step up in big moments.
Yeah, well, it was a great experience. On top of all the things you just mentioned, I actually grew up right there. So the USA Baseball Complex is about 2 miles from the house I was born and raised in. So it was really cool for me to go back home and be around a bunch of friends and family and high school friends and all that stuff. So that was kind of a cherry on top for me personally. But, you're talking about the best 8 teams in the country. These teams are all battle tested. They've had to really win a lot of tough games to get to that point. So we knew we were going in for a challenge, and, we were ready for that challenge. We were excited. The Angelo State game, first off, Westchester, they had won the national championship in 2012 and 2017. So we knew they were a historic program and that they have had a lot of success in Cary. So for us to have them first and beat them right out the gate was a good boost for us. And then we went to play Angelo State, who at the time we played them, we both were tied leading the country in wins with 51 wins each. Offensively, they hit 365 as a team. I mean, this team's, if you looked at their numbers, it was very intimidating and the kind of things that they had done. And we went out and beat them 18-3, which broke the record for most runs scored in a College World Series game, broke the record for the biggest run differential in a College World Series game. And not only did we beat them 18-3, but they only got 2 hits that game. So that game right there was such a boost for our team, and it made us realize we can win this thing. Like we got the team that can win this thing. All we need to do is go out there and be focused and compete. And we knew we had enough talent after that game.
Landon Powell joining us. Coach, when you win a national championship, obviously so many different players step up, and it's hard to kind of identify a few. I'm going to mention a few names, and I'm going to open the floor to you. We'll talk with John Michael Faile in a moment. You had a gentleman named Reese Fields, a tremendous pitcher, Corey Bivens, Josh Center, Pat Monteith. Dax Cash had some big games in the national championship event. We also have a gentleman from the Czech Republic. I almost hate to pronounce Marek's last name, but I'm going to open the floor to you. I mean, tell me about some of these guys, some of the key components for this year's team.
Yeah, so the first guy you mentioned, John Michael Faile, he's sitting here with me. He's going to join us in a second, I think. But he came here straight out of high school. He's a local guy from not far away from our university. He was 5A State Player of the Year in South Carolina coming out of high school, so he's no secret to success himself. And since he's been at North Greenville, he's been a 3-time All-American. He was perfect game National Player of the Year last year, and he's been an absolute stud for us. Conference Player of the Year, Region Player of the Year, you name it. He's a catcher, calls the games behind the plate, hits in the 3-hole. I think last year hit 420-something with 23 home runs in 45 games. So the guy just puts up video game numbers, and but also he's a great catcher, calls a great game. So he's one of our captains. So he had a phenomenal year. Mark Kloop is who you mentioned from Czech Republic. Mark's our right fielder. He was the only transfer of the folks you mentioned there. All those other guys you named came here straight out of high school, but Mark transferred here from NC State. He was born in Czech Republic, which baseball is a kind of obscure sport there. I think Mark jokes around. He says it's probably the 20th most popular sport in Czech Republic. But he grew up playing it. His dad loved the game. And he is so good. It's amazing. Like for a guy that didn't grow up in America playing baseball the way we do, he's very skilled. He's very professional. He's a great defensive outfielder. He has a great approach at the plate. Has a great 2-strike approach. Doesn't strike out a ton. He's a physical freak. He's 6'4", 240. Has power at all fields, but he also can fly. He stole 30 bases this year. So he was the Conference Player of the Year this year and was just named first-team All-American. He's playing in the MLB Draft League currently, and both him and John Michael have a chance to get drafted and start playing professionally. On the mound, Reese Fields, you mentioned his name. He came here straight out of high school. As a sophomore this year, he was Conference Pitcher of the Year, and he went to the World Series and was the College World Series MVP. So we're excited to see him and what he's doing, and he's got a couple more years here. And there's another guy you didn't mention, but I want to mention, named Noah Takis. Noah was a guy that came to our school last year and didn't have a great season, didn't have a lot of success, maybe threw 6 or 7 innings all last year with not great results. And in today's world of the transfer portal and all the other things going on, Noah's a kid I respect because he didn't go and transfer and look for another opportunity or quit or get, depressed. He got motivated and he worked his butt off last summer, and he came in here this year with a mission. And all he did this year was go out and lead the country in ERA, batting average against, whip, hits per 9, all those things. So he's a great testament, in my opinion, of people that, deal with adversity the right way. And he worked his butt off to get better and then had a phenomenal year for us this year on the mound as a junior. So,
Landon, that's why I love talking with teams that win national championships. I think there are so many stories within the story of a team. And talking with Landon Powell from North Greenville, the Crusaders, the D2 national champs. And Landon, before we bring on John Michael, I got a couple of more quick questions from you. I think this is the second year of the format for D2, similar to D1, where you have a regional site, you have a super regional. I like that format. I think you like it a lot more when you're hosting, but how did that work, and how do you think that will help the D2 game maybe be very similar in some senses to the Division I postseason?
Yeah, they started, I think 2019 was the first year they did the super regional. And we host. So in 2018, we hosted a regional, and it was like a 6 or 7 team regional. And then 2019, they did the host side of a regional and then a super regional following. So we were able to host the regional. We won, and we played Catawba College in the super regional. And Catawba beat us 4-3 in 10 innings the first game, and 4-3 in 14 innings the second game. So we kind of were heartbroken there to not go to the World Series that year. Then you had COVID happen, which canceled the 2020 season. And with 2021, they shortened the season and condensed it, and therefore did not do the super regionals in 2021. They just did a one-team, I think it was a 4-team regional, which we hosted at our place last year. And Columbus State ended up beating us and going to the World Series. So back to the super regional format this year. So this is the second time, I guess, they've done it at the Division II level. I personally like it. I think that it allows the best team to move forward because you're playing a best-of-3 series. You get to reset your pitching and go toe-to-toe with that other team that won the other side of the regional. So, you got to really be battle-tested. And I think that's one thing that helped us is in our region, the Southeast region, I would say it's arguably one of the best regions of the country, if not the best. We won the national championship in our region here the last 2 years. When you win our region and our super regional, you feel like you can go to this World Series with a chance to win because the teams, honestly, that we faced in our regional and super regional were every bit as good as the teams that we saw in Cary. And so I do like that format. I think it's much, I like the fact that it's more aligned with the Division I format. I wish Division II would go to the Division I format overall, where it's not regional based, but it's the best 54 or 64 teams or whatever they decide to choose. Because when you're in a strong region like we are, some of the best teams get left home, because you can only get 6 or 7 teams from your regional, from your region. And our team, our region had, I think, 9 or 10 teams ranked in the top 25 in the national poll, but only 6 of them could get into the postseason. So it'd be nice for the Division II level to go to the same format as Division I and just go with the, an RPI model, top 54 teams or 64 teams or whatever they choose. I would be in favor of that, but I can't complain right now because I'm sitting here next to this trophy, so I can't complain that it didn't work out in our favor.
Yeah, that looks pretty good sitting next to you, and I think that's well explained, and that's part of why we enjoy talking with coaches and champions at different levels too. We get a little bit of knowledge. And Landon, I'd be remiss before we bring on John Michael if I didn't ask you about your time in Oakland, because you were there kind of at the beginning of that Moneyball phase. Is there anything that you take from your experience that you find yourself applying as a coach in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think as any coach, you draw from your experiences to help shape you as a coach, and even at the youth age, the college level, and for me at the professional level. So I've told people before, I'm very fortunate to play for a lot of great coaches and I had a lot of mentors. And I try to pick and choose the best attributes of all those guys and help mold myself as a coach. So my time with Oakland was great. I played for them for 9 years at the minor league and major league level. Played with some great coaches, instructors. I mean, some of the things I do with our hitters are things that I learned through the Oakland A's organization. Some of the things I do as far as pitch calling. You mentioned a guy earlier named Jax Cash. He was a catcher for us, a younger guy. Oakland A's had a mentality, I guess, or a format that they would use when players would get drafted. They would not allow us to swing at the first pitch. All right, so when you first get drafted in the A's organization, you have to take a strike your first year of pro ball. And other teams know it, so they'll get up there and just throw you fastballs right down the middle. But it's the Oakland A's way of teaching you to hit deeper in counts and get on. They want to increase a higher on base percentage. They want to draw walks and things like that. So this kid Jax Cash comes to play for me, and he's the most aggressive kid. He wants to swing first pitch every bat. He's a Nomar Garcia-Parra, Jose Altuve kind of hitter that just wants to swing right away. So I implemented that same the thing that the Oakland A's did with him. I made him go through the entire fall and take a strike every single at bat, just so he could track more pitches, see more things, and it helped his timing. It helped him have a better two-strike approach. So there's little things like that you learn in your career that I think you implement as yourself as a coach, and I think that's helped me with my team for sure.
Now that's fun. I really enjoyed that. Landon Powell joining us. We're going to step aside. We're going to come back. We're going to keep Coach. We're going to bring on one of his top players. We'll do that right here on Perfect Game College Baseball. One more segment here on Perfect Game College Baseball, talking about the D2 National Champs, the North Greenville Crusaders, and John Michael Faile joining us as well. And John Michael, I'm going through your numbers. I mean, even as a freshman, you had 18 homers and 70 RBIs. In 2021, the season we discussed with Coach, 23 homers, 78 runs batted in, another 81 RBIs this year, 15 home runs. The level of consistency impresses me. How have you done that? This is not this easy of a game to be able to not maybe have a little drop off here and there, but to keep getting better and putting up big time numbers.
Yeah, I've had a great career here at North Greenville, and I think when I came in, I had a ton of confidence coming into college, and so the program here and Landon and all the coaches have really just kind of helped me stay the level and stay the course that I was on. And so, like I mentioned earlier, there are certain routines that I kind of picked up coming into college, and I was kind of able to just jump in and kind of go with the flow. And also, being here at North Greenville and the way kind of our program is run and how the atmosphere is and how it's kind of laid back and we like to have fun and there's things like that. I honestly think that helps a ton. It kind of takes the pressure off of you a little bit. And so that's kind of how I kind of just keep going through the season obviously there's going to be some hiccups in the road, and there will be a couple weeks where your swing doesn't feel great or you're not seeing the ball like you have been. But, that's just when you kind of go and not restart, but just kind of, I like to say, kind of take it back to the basics and just see the ball and hit the ball and don't think so much. And so that's kind of how I operate a little bit.
Did you have an injury that knocked you out a little bit around the regionals or super regionals?
Yeah, so I actually tore my meniscus in the first game of the conference tournament this year and ended up missing the whole conference tournament, the regional and the super regional.
I got to believe you're sitting there thinking, I want to win a national championship. I can't be on the field. So what was that wait like? What was the hope that your team could win without you to give you a chance then to rejoin them and win a national championship?
Probably the worst feeling in the world, I would say. After that happened and I was kind of getting carried off the field, all I thought about was I wasn't thinking about how bad my knee was hurting or anything. I was thinking we have a really special team and I don't get to play with these guys anymore. And so that's what hurt the most, I think. And also, in a moment like that, I think all the worst thoughts possible are running through your mind about, okay, well, what does this mean for my career? What does this mean for the future? And so, me and Landon had kind of a heart-to-heart talk after the game and kind of on the bus, I guess you could say. And it was just like, a lot of people were telling me different things about what they think it was and what injury it was. And, Landon was just like, look, you don't know what it is until you actually see it, until you get the facts, until, somebody can show you what it is. And so I kind of took that and kind of, just tried to have as much hope as possible. And I did get the MRI, and it came back and said that I had a bucket handle meniscus tear and like a little fraying of the ACL, so like a kind of a partially torn ACL. And so, but when I hear that, I'm like, that doesn't sound good to me. I don't know much about the knee and all that, and the different, structures of the knee, but, when I heard that, I was like, oh, well, that doesn't sound good. And so, but, I went into it, and I went and had surgery. And when I woke up from surgery, the doctor told me that there was no repairing the meniscus, that they just went and I had a meniscectomy. And so, when I had that, they said that it would be about a 5 to 6 week recovery process. And, in my mind, I was like, I got through with surgery, and I got back to my house, and I hadn't been able to walk without crutches for 2 weeks. And, I got back to my house, and I'm like walking around the house, and I was like, I think I feel good. I was like, let me go see if I can swing. And so, I didn't do that. I took some time, but like you said, I can't shout out or thank my teammates enough, because, and I told them before the regional started, I said, hey, if you guys work hard for me, and I'm going to work hard for you. And you guys get us there, and I'm telling you, I promise you, I'm going to be back, and I'm going to be ready to go. Like, my knee feels great. Let me do some rehab and things like that. And they did. They stepped up, and I can't thank them enough.
This is what they make movies about, right? I mean, I put myself in your shoes, and the draft was jacked up last year, so I come back. I'm going to make the most of this opportunity, and you know what? I'm going to win a national championship. There you are, carried off the field, wondering if you even can finish out the year or will have another chance, can win a national championship, and who knows beyond that, to being able to accelerate that rehab, get back, and then sit next to that trophy that you were a part of. I mean, what an amazing month.
You can't write it up any better than that, I guess. Like you said, I didn't know what the future held for me. I didn't know, what it was going to be like. I sure didn't think that I was going to be able to play again this year. I'll tell you that. And, after surgery and I started moving around, I went to rehab. I did rehab in Greenville 3 times a week. And then I went to rehab with our training staff here at North Greenville the other 3 days of the week. And, and then all throughout that, I'm, coming out here and cheering on the guys because, I knew how special of a team we had. And, one player doesn't define how great the team is, especially this team this year. And so, and also, I say all the time, or I said all the time this year, there's so much adversity that this team had to go through this year. And so it kind of seemed fitting that, I told them that, hey, it's kind of fitting that, I'm not going to be here. You guys are going to have to, go through the regional and super regional. So, but they stepped up and they did it. And, it's a crazy story that I'll be able to tell for a long time.
Well, there's no doubt. And the satisfaction, the gratification that'll come from your role on this team. So I'm going to open it up, John Michael, and John Michael Faile joining us from North Greenville. You talked about some of those teammates. Give me some names. Give me some guys that impressed you that, been great teammates, guys that had big regionals and super regionals that were just as much a part of this journey or help this team get through those games you weren't able to play so you could come back.
I could probably go through the whole roster, but, I'll start out with a guy who really impressed me because, he wasn't an everyday starter every single day. And so his name is Zach Zara, and he played in the conference tournament. He actually played left field. He was an everyday shortstop for us in the fall and most of the spring. And then in the conference tournament, he played left field. And he came up to me all the time, and he said, hey, man, we got you. We got you. We're going to get you there. I'm like, watch. Just sit back and watch. We got you. And he came out in the conference tournament and won the conference tournament most valuable player. And, for him, and that's what this whole team was about this year. There's not, we didn't have guys who weren't playing every day sitting over there and, kind of excluding themselves from the team thinking, why am I not playing? It was, when my time's called, when my number's called, I'm going to be ready to go. And so, that stood out to me, and I was so proud of him. And I told him, and, we had many conversations. Brent Hurlong is a relief pitcher for us, who's been here for 5 years and I think has like a sub-2 ERA for his career. So just unbelievable the job that he did this year, and he kind of kept that rolling through the World Series. I think he threw 5 innings in the World Series, didn't give up a hit, didn't give up a run, and had 2 saves, if I'm not mistaken. So a guy like him, Pat Monteith absolutely showed out in the national championship. Just big hit after big hit. Guys like him. Campbell Connard stepped into kind of that the catching role when I went down. He actually came in that conference game that I went down in, and his first at bat hit a home run. And so I think that just kind of sparked everybody, because in a moment where I went down like that in the first inning, it kind of gets like the wind kind of gets taken out from under you a little bit, and it's so hard to kind of pick that momentum back up. And he went in there, and he hadn't had much playing time all year, and he steps into that role right there and hits a home run, and that just gets everybody going, brings the life back into the team. And then he kind of he caught a lot of games in the playoffs as well, and I thought did a tremendous job. But I could go on and on about this team and what we've overcome and what we've had to go through, but those are some guys that really stick out to me.
Just a wonderful conversation. John Michael Faile from North Greenville, the Crusaders, a Division II national champion, joining us. I feel like I could ask you another 10 questions, but I'm going to stick to one in the interest of time. After your journey, your career, the injury, the unknowns, when you clinch the national championship, take me inside your psyche. What's the emotions like? I mean, there's a dog pile. When you have time to reflect back, what are the first few thoughts that go through your mind?
Just honestly, it's so relieving because of how hard it was to get here. I've been here for 4 years. There's guys on this team that had been here for 5 years. And we're always we're always right there. We're always, hosting a regional or hosting a super regional, or, maybe we're one game away from making it. But, and it was just, we could never kind of break that door down. And so, this year for this team to get to Cary and to actually win the whole thing, was just it was kind of like, not like a monkey off our back. It was just like a sigh of relief and we did it. And so, in that moment when we got that third out, I couldn't tell you what I did. I had to go watch video. I was running around the whole field and, jumping on the top of the dog pile. I couldn't get on the bottom of the dog pile, or else I would have, because, I didn't know what would have happened. So I just kind of let everybody run and dog pile, and I just jumped right on top of it. But, it's like, this team went through so much, and we, overcame a lot. And, thinking about just going back to the first day of the fall this year and, all the hard work that we went through this year, everything we had to overcome, and just for this team to hoist this trophy up at the end of the year, it's an unbelievable feeling, and one that, nobody will ever forget.
Yep. They can't take it away from you. And to the viewers right now, this is why we stop at all these different levels. The stories are incredible, maybe stories we didn't realize, the journey, the success, all that comes into a long year. And John Michael, we've talked about what it would mean to you to get a chance at the pro level, and I certainly hope you get that chance, not just to get into minor league baseball or pro baseball, but to see how far it'll take you. And thanks so much for joining us and just sharing your injuries, your stories, your success, and what it means to you to be part of this program and to win a national championship.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you for having me.
John Michael Faile from North Greenville. What a tremendous journey. Also, Landon Powell, the head coach, was able to stop by as well. Fun to talk to the Division II national champions. I'm Brent Dolan. Thanks for tuning in this week on Perfect Game College Baseball.